Hey there, friends of failure, and welcome to this week's episode of the Failure Guy podcast. I am here with my friend Wendy Harris. Wendy, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you, Ben.
I want to first let the listeners know before you get to pump yourself up, do the pump up, how hilarious our meeting was. Like when you reached out to me, because can you tell them what your bio thingy says under your name?
Oh, so my followers have nicknamed me the Queen of Conversation. And I'm all about first impressions and building relationships.
So Queen of Conversation and first impressions, and you sent me a blank message on LinkedIn, and it was like a technical snafu, and then you sent, I think, another blank message, and then you started laughing, or I started making fun of you. I don't know. It just kept going back and forth, but it was the funniest. Like, it was a good first impression, I'd say, because I'm big into failure, but considering you're trying to send voice messages, it was funny to see that I'm not the only one who fails, which is nice, in action.
I definitely spoke words out loud and pressed the button on the voice notes to say to send, and then it just went 0, and I was like, oh, so I'm just gonna blame it on LinkedIn.
Yeah. It couldn't have been your communication skills or your conversation abilities, because you're the queen.
Absolutely not.
Is there a king?
I've yet to meet the king of conversation. So
you just met him, so congratulations. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. But
thank you.
I would never be so immodest as to call myself a king. I'm just kidding. So anyways, the thing I do, like we said, is to avoid research. I have people pump themselves up at the beginning. So tell us all the good stuff about you. Tell us all the things that we should know, so that when we get to the bad stuff, we feel better.
Well, I'm going to give you the 50 cents rather than the dollar tour.
Oh, give me $1.25.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, so I've been picking up the phone since 1988, and that was probably before you were born, Ben. And
nope, not true.
He's disappeared. He's disappeared. Yeah.
Hold on. Sorry, I had to run and get a drink, but I am 1985, so I was a fresh 3-year-old at the time.
Oh, okay. So yeah, well, you were a toddler, and I was cutting my teeth on the phone.
Honestly, I was making phone calls too. I had a little play school, Fisher Price, jobby.
Did you have one of those, like on, oh gosh, what's the film? Toy Story.
What happens?
The Fisher Price phone.
Oh yeah, that phone. But then I was also thinking you were doing like a mowing motion. It reminded me of the bubble popping thing. That was like a fake lawnmower, if you remember that one.
Yes. Oh dear. So I think we tried to work it out in the 30-something years that I've been doing this, that I've possibly made about 2 million dials.
Wozers.
So there's not many situations that would surprise me.
Oh, I'm gonna surprise you in this one. I'm gonna just work for that only.
I know you like a challenge, Ben.
But 2 million. So let's think about that. So 15 years per milli.
Oh, we were trying to work it out.
How many do you do a day? Is that easier?
Well, yeah, because we kind of go 20 days a month, 10 months a year, times by 34.
Why are you calling so many people, by the way? Why are you calling them? These were cold calls for other companies and stuff, or?
Yeah, business to business, setting appointments in high ticket, long deal situations. So it was all about creating those first impressions, introducing us as, so that we're not a secret and one thing and another. And so I've literally lined up millions and millions and millions of pounds worth of potential business for salesmen. And
lost a decent chunk, I would imagine, as well.
Yeah, I've met some really good salesmen, and there are some. I don't know that the word sales would even come into their title.
Oh, well, I meant you probably have messed up a few deals where you lost a big chunk of change. I mean, you've probably made millions, like you said. But I'm sure there's some of those ones where you're like, ooh, if I did this or that, I could have maybe had the deal and it fell through your fingers.
Um,
Or you're just a stellar.
well, it's hard to say because I'm not the closer.
Oh, you're the fluffer.
Exactly.
Nice. That's the best place to be.
That's exactly it.
I mean, because then you don't have to. You just you get all the fun part.
Yeah.
Not in the whatever scenario, whatever innuendo I was making, but my point is in the conversation world, you get to be the good part, the good guy, you know?
Well, over the years, there's been lots of feedback where potential customers have gone, you know, fed back through the salesmen that have taken the meeting, going they were really disappointed it wasn't you because they were really looking forward to flirting with you.
Oh, geez.
It's like,
I get upset if I make a relationship with whatever, some person, because I have a really high barrier to sales. Like my walls go up. So if I like whoever I'm dealing with, I like to try to keep that person rather than get scuttled off to somebody else.
do you know what, Ben? It's such a good point that you make because I think that continuity between the first impression and the next member in the team that handles that sales process is so important that often the people that are making those calls to get in front of people don't try so hard because they know that the salesman's going to be shit when they get there. So what's the point of all that effort?
It can go both ways. Like it can demoralize both ways.
Yeah.
But what I heard most was such a good point that you make. That's the part I heard the best.
Yeah, you're not failing in that, Ben.
I like that when I make good points because I like it, usually I don't think I'm saying anything of value, and then I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I must have touched on a gem there, but I is because what I've been told about sales calls. Now I've done one day of telemarketing. I was selling adjustable rate mortgages. I did not know what they were. And after that day, I was like, okay, well, I'm never going to do this again because that was like just me calling a bunch of people and pretending to know like even the smallest thing. If they had any question, I was like 18, 17, something like that. No idea what a mortgage even was. Still fuzzy on the top.
Still living at home in mom and pop, yeah.
No. I just don't have I've never had, I've worked in real estate actually, so I know plenty about leases and mortgages and everything, but it was mostly the commercial side and I've never owned my own house. So I'd love for a mortgage to be a part of my life, but unfortunately not yet there. But I think it's because I grew up in Boston. It's really expensive there. I'm contemplating. I hate saying stuff like this on the podcast because I know I'm going to change my mind and then I'm going to look like an idiot later, but whatever. I'm contemplating moving to Bulgaria, of all places. So,
Well, it's supposed to be very nice in Bulgaria.
is it? Tell me what you know because I know almost nothing.
I've never been, but I've never been to Boston either. So, who am I to say?
True, but what do you know about Bulgaria? I've been to Boston. I can tell you about that.
There's a few people I know that have been there, and there's actually a guy I could introduce you, I think, that is living in Bulgaria.
Is it Miko? Is he who introduced us?
No, somebody else.
How did we introduce you? You just reached out to me with a blank message.
I just went,
I don't know what the hell you said.
I'm failing at this.
You could have been. It could have been a racist diatribe, or it could have been.
I think, yeah. My first message usually is, well, you just never know where a conversation will lead. I'll keep my eye out for you in the feed. It's a little bit of a rhyme.
Oh, it's a very much of a rhyme. Don't sell yourself short. That's 100% rhyme. That's not a slant rhyme or whatever the hell. That's a real one.
See, for me, when you get a voice note that's like 15, 16 seconds long, that has got to be way more exciting to go, well, this is not a sales call because sales messages are always over a minute long. That's the anticipation, isn't it?
Yeah.
And when you say something like, oh, well, you never know where a conversation will lead. I'll look out for you in the feed and it's great to be connected and I'll catch up with you one day soon. That actually looks like a sales pitch when it's typed out.
But you know what's the better thing? No offense. Video. And not only video, but really not great video. Like me picking up dog while I'm talking to somebody. Like because I'm walking my dog or whatever. But then he happens to do it while I'm in the middle of it. Doesn't matter if it's 50 seconds or not. Point is, they're getting a unique moment. I don't try to do it while I'm picking up the dogs. But the point is, the more real the moment can be without being dangerous, like, if you're driving or something. But videos are fun. Because then I can see you.
I don't know, Ben. You see, I've got standards. I've got standards.
No, you don't. I can tell you don't.
And being a telemarketer, though, I am an audio girl. I am on the phone. I've got my left ear is a highly tuned tool, and it can sniff out. It's even got another sense attached to it. It can sniff out bullshit. It's that
Whoa.
the filter is there because that is the only sense that you have when you're on the phone. You can't see body language.
Sorry, was that a side effect of like when video killed the radio star and then you were kind of like thrown for a daze? Did you then develop that sense, or was that something you've honed over time?
I think it's honed over time to the point where, if you're sat on this side of me, this ear does not listen, because this side is normally either the receiver or the headset.
Do you have autonomous ears that do their own thing?
Yeah.
Huh.
And if you're sitting in a training room, I could be managing a team in a call center, and I can be having my own conversation in my headset, and I can hear what's going on. And I would literally have like a little whiteboard or something, and I'd be writing on it and sort of sticking it up over my head to help the team members if they're stuck in a conversation.
Okay. Do you remember the day they went from the thing that rests on your shoulder, that weird nubby looking like a heel, like of a shoe looking thing, to hooked onto your head? Do you remember that day and going, this is the best day ever? Did that happen?
No, I was quite happy with the receiver in, like that.
Oh, really? Your neck must have been yelling at you.
But yeah, see, now it's like mouse control on the other side, I mean, it sort of evened out that I looked like, the Queen of Notre Dame.
Yeah, of course. You just need like some xylophones or something to play along with, or whatever. I don't even know what he did but I can't believe Notre Dame burned down. I always forget that.
I know, sad. Although I'm quite pleased because I did get to see it while it was still in one piece.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you saw it burn.
I started the fire.
I was like, that's a kind of a messed up way to look of it. Yeah, I saw the whole thing from start to finish, from the very start.
It could be worse. I could have said, I saw it built, So.
But I always, it's gone. I don't even know if I saw it. Where is it? It's near you, right? I think I did see it then. It's in England?
It's in Paris.
Oh, well, I went to Paris too. It was like clearly it was a messy trip, and I was all over the place. But I remember going
on the way to Amsterdam, obviously.
Of course. Well, yeah. So we had to. So the way the Eurorail worked, we did the 7-day thing, but then one night we went at like 11:30 at night, and so that counted as 2 days, even though it was just a half an hour in one day. So we had to cut out Munich, we had to extend Amsterdam, unfortunately, and Vienna.
Oh, damn.
But I feel like we must have seen, I don't know if we went to Notre Dame, but we went to the Champs-Elysees, and I went around and I told everybody I wanted to say I'm sorry, but I didn't catch it. So I kept saying je suis déjeuner, which is not je suis désolé, which is I'm sorry. I was saying I'm breakfast or I'm lunch. I'm one of those two. I just kept going around saying I'm lunch to everybody. And
no, petit déjeuner. Yes. I'm a little lunch.
Yeah, but not a petite one. So I think it's a lunch if you just leave out the petite, because I said je suis déjeuner. So I guess that's lunch. I'm not sure. Why do they call it? I guess a little lunch makes sense because it's a smaller piece. But you don't hear about déjeuner that much. Point was, everyone looked at me like an idiot, but I assumed that was because I was an American who knew one sentence, but it was really because I kept telling them I was a meal of the day. And it took me like the whole day. We were there 2 days. It took me like 90% of the time there to realize it.
All I can think of is that breakfast is the best meal of the day, Ben. So it's why they were looking at you like.
I totally disagree. We are on the opposite end of the spectrum, because I don't eat breakfast ever. and then I eat way late at night, and then that's why I don't eat breakfast because I'm still digesting from the late at night. But agree to disagree. Maybe at the same time of the world, we're eating breakfast at the same time or something like that. Like I'm doing my weird late night thing and you're having breakfast. Who knows? Um, so what made you decide to, or like, what was your whole trajectory? It seemed like you worked in sales. How'd you get into podcasting? Was there a big in between of other things, or is it like pretty straight line?
No, I mean, look, I'm what's called a middle-aged mum now. So
Ah,
sales is has been a nice. I hate using the word nice. It's been a great career to work around the kids because
mm,
you can scale it up, scale it back. I've been running my own business for 17 years, so I make my own rules, right?
you can negotiate with them really well too.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's kind of like, if I come and get you from school, you've got to promise to come and walk the dog with me. Otherwise, I'm going to throw you in after school club. Oh, it's okay, Mum, I'll go to the club. So,
It's the perfect time to make a video, a LinkedIn video, right when you're taking the dog for the walk.
yeah. Oh, it's your turn to pick up.
Just get him on video and then send, hey, how's it going? At least you'll know it actually recorded, which would be good.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'll probably just put my 13-year-old in charge of that. That would be the better plan.
There you go. You have a cinematographer.
Mm.
That's not too bad. So how long have you been doing podcasting stuff?
I launched my podcast November 2020.
So I beat you by 2 months,
Yeah,
but you're probably beat me in number of episodes by now. What are you at now?
83.
Yeah, I'm only 56, but I've probably recorded around 100. So
Oh yeah, I've recorded. I think I've got about 15 canned, and yeah, I've got guests lined up now that will see me through to the end of the year.
yeah, but if a podcast falls in the woods or whatever, is it heard? Is it a podcast? Meaning I
Is it?
got to get some of those out, and some of those are never going to go out. I know that because some are from like over a year ago.
No, there's one episode that I really wasn't sure about releasing.
Oh, this is intentional sandbagging because I've had one of those.
And it's still sat there. And I just keep pushing it to the end of the production because I'm just not sure about it. Then I've
Mm-hmm.
had a guest that's like completely off the wall in terms of what they do and how they help in business. And yet that was our fastest downloaded episode ever.
Huh. Isn't it weird how that happens?
Yeah, and you go, well, why can't I just do that again?
Or why don't I know what I'm doing? Like, why can't I predict it?
Yeah, like this best guess. I've got a recorded episode where unfortunately I was trying to get just final consent on it, and he'd passed away really suddenly. So I've got.
Then you don't need consent, I'm pretty sure, right?
No, I know, but it was ready to go, and it would have all fallen in line with the funeral and one thing and another.
Well, I had a worse, not worse, but so I released an episode with a guy named Fred Moore, who's a magician productivity coach, and that was a big spike. And I was like, just based on the fact he's a magician productivity coach, that does not make sense. So
Oh, you're not going
I
to
thought,
believe your eyes.
now everyone's like, oh my god, I got to listen to this one because my eyes are not going to see anything. So I think a guy who was a high school football coach in the US died, named Fred Moore. My guy's name was Fred Moore also, but just the algorithm picked up on it or whatever because
Yeah.
people stayed. I mean, if they thought it was
Oh,
the other guy, they wouldn't go, oh, okay, well, whatever. I'll just listen to Magic.
I know exactly what you mean. I've just been indexing on Google Search Console.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I'm like indexing all the pages,
Hey, by the way, IMDb is going to help you for sure. Have you linked your own webpage into it as an official site?
Yeah. And that was, thanks to you. Yeah.
And you can even do unofficial site, like my own personal company is a main sponsor. I just tried to give special thanks to Arnold Schwarzenegger on an episode, and it wouldn't let me. So,
Well, who was it that was one of our guests? One of my guests was talking about Mr. Beast.
mhm.
No idea who he was,
Oh, that's yep. You should know
and
that.
because it's in the show notes and it's been backlinked, I've had like nearly 1,000 impressions. I'm like, what? That was like within the last week or two. And it's like when you get a notification, because I've been doing this for 2 or 3 weeks, this kind of console business, and you
Hmm.
get an email from console going, you've had 30 clicks, and you go, whoa. I had no idea how many I was getting before. It was probably none.
Could have been more. Maybe you're going down.
Just don't,
That's why it doesn't matter. I mean, I try not to look at the metrics that much, but as long as they're going up, generally,
yeah.
they're not really all the time. But some, the total number is always going up.
It's that consistency, isn't it? It's hard work, though, isn't it? Podcasting is hard work. It's easy having a conversation. The hard part is having enough of a conversation that is something of value to the people that want to listen. So I didn't listen to any podcasts for the first year. I knew the concept. I knew what they were about.
You mean you started to have one and make one without knowing what any of them sounded like?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I just knew how I wanted my content to be received, and I knew how I wanted the guests to be portrayed, and that was it. So,
And for the listeners, what's your podcast called?
um, making conversations count.
Nice.
Honest, relatable conversations with business leaders.
Ooh.
Now, we've had some really, really cool people on, and
Except for that one person.
the one person, well, obviously I'm the coolest person.
I meant the one person that you didn't release and you're still not going to release, it sounds like.
I know, yeah, it's poor Bobby, poor Bobby.
Oh, we don't have to name him. I hope that's a fake name, like a stripper name.
No, it's his name. It's definitely his name.
Well, he's not going to listen to this. No, you didn't even listen to this as far.
He would approve. But I've just kind of said I will put it out there at some point, because his content is still relevant. It's evergreen, the advice that he was giving, and that's kind of the point, isn't it? Is that we all love stories. We all love, it's like for you, Ben, I'm here because I failed so many times that it is laughable.
And we can't forget to get into that, because I want to get into that.
Yeah, I mean, this is my third business, so I've had to fail before.
We all do, if you're going to do anything of value. But his evergreen thing reminded me that I had a guy, still haven't released it, and his name's Sam Harris, which is the same as an author, the famous atheist author. So that would help with the algorithm. But he changed the name of his app that he made from when we recorded it to now. So he's talking about Syncify the whole time, even though it's Reason. I'm like, what am I supposed to do with this? I'll either re-interview the guy, or I can't go through and like chop, or just say, hey, every time he says this, it's that. No, it just doesn't. It's not evergreen. Is my point. It's brown.
It's on the floor waiting to be picked up again, isn't it?
I don't know if it's going to get picked up. It's going to get swept away, probably.
Ask him to send you a voice note saying...
No, I'll just have him do another one.
Yeah.
He doesn't even probably remember I don't remember what we talked about. It's funny because do you have these moments? I don't know how many, you don't get as backlogged as I do, but when you're listening to the podcast and you don't remember how great it was, or you forget even what you had talked about. And so like by re-listening, you are like, oh yeah, this is amazing.
Oh, all the time. All the time, Ben. I mean, when I finish recording, I usually write up my notes. So I've got my pen and my pencil is always in my hand, and my pad's here, and it's like keywords that are just joggers for me. And then I type up like a couple of paragraphs of what I really took away from the conversation that hit me here. And then what we've done is that me and my producer, Neil, we always have like a scrum every week.
Mhm.
and we just have a quick conversation, and he listens, he edits, then he really listens, and he comes back at me with what his takeaway was. So his
Mm.
notes and feedback are different to mine. And I'm like,
Mm.
whoa. So then what we do is once it's live and it's released, I listen back, and I am a listener of my own show, and I'm critiquing the conversation and for new takeaways. And then we release bonus content on a Sunday, which is carrying on the
Mm.
conversation. And it's me and Neil basically saying, well, I took this away. And he's going, I thought this was really great. And it's just 5 minutes of us. It's what we would do every week anyway.
Might as well get it
Get it down.
for posterity's sake. And also, I'm an idiot. I have every one of these on video, and I've done almost nothing with them. I probably put out a total of like 6 minutes of video out of 56 episodes.
And you've been banging on about video all this time.
I didn't say I was the master of video or the king of.
I don't do it. Neil does it. He's just a genius. He's in his genius when he's putting it together.
It took me the beard, which is a pandemic beard, in order to feel good on camera. Before that, I teach Excel online, so I could just hide behind the fact that it's all being screen recorded, and I'm not. There's no need to see me. But when there was, it was looking like I was 12 years old and a mix between 12-year-old Mr. Clean. Like I had no muscles. Or was like Popeye maybe, but like not without the face.
No, Ben, I've got it. You would make a really good Kenny Everett cameo.
Carl Pilkington, I looked like quite a bit. Ricky Gervais and Stephen Merchant's buddy.
Oh, yes.
It was with the head like a orange, they say, and he's an idiot abroad. Him, I used to get, and then Billy Corgan, I used to get. So like those are not as good as whoever has a beard I would get. But who's the one you said? I don't even know who that is.
Kenny Everett. He was 70s, 80s. He was a radio DJ, but he did sketch shows. It was the Kenny Everett show, and he did loads of different characters.
Was he funny?
It was hilarious, and it's still funny.
Perfect. Love it. Because I want to do stand up at some point, but I've been not doing any at all. So
Why not?
Well, it's scary.
So you've got to be super bold.
Of course. But then the pandemic made it harder to even go do a stand-up thing. I'm certainly not going to do it on like a Zoom where there's weird delay or whatever.
Don't you find it's funny though when you stand up in front of people? I mean, I've delivered keynotes and presentations, right? And I'm used to interaction. I'm used to having some kind of feedback or, noise or heckling. Heckling would be fine.
A lot of tomatoes being thrown.
Yeah, that would be fine. That's why I usually wear red,
Of course.
But you look at people and there's this like blank expression.
Mm-hmm.
And you start to panic because you just think, oh, I'm not hitting home with anything here. There's just these blank expressions. And I've been told that it's actually that people have got their listening face on.
Resting listening face.
When they've got that blank expression, it's because they're taking in what it is that you're saying.
And you're viewing it as the opposite of that. Or at least taking it in and not liking it.
Yeah.
It's better than there only being two people there that showed up, and they're the people who, so I promoted this thing for a few months, and then it was at a Microsoft store. So I teach Excel. So I was like, it's at a store. Someone will come. I've done so much networking, and only one person came, and then a store employee also sat for the we won't call it a keynote. We'll call it just my mini TED talk, I guess, about Excel. But I was like, I did that once. I was like, what am I doing? I should be doing this online. I already have like tons of people listening to me online. What am I doing? Trying to drum up real life stuff. But it helped with a lot of the confidence stuff and just working out the material or whatever, like the training material. So I think I have to have a fake name in order for it to work. So what I like is that Kenny Everett, my fake name is Benny Fitzgerald.
Okay.
Oh no, sorry, Fitzpatrick. It's because I'm Irish. Fitzgerald is not Irish, correct? Benny Fitzpatrick. The point is, doesn't matter because
I'm not Irish.
the point is it shortens to Benny Fitz, and so the special is going to be called Friends with Benny Fitz because I thought that'd be funny. And
That is
then
funny. Yeah.
I built from there. So Fitzpatrick, I think is what it is. That's the most Irish sounding. I'm like 94% Irish, so I figured I'd lean into that. My name doesn't sound Irish at all. Plus, people want to put COUR it. So I need some other guy to bomb on stage. It's not quite me exactly.
I think this is kind of why I started on the phones. Was I loved playing act. I was always in acting and at school and stuff.
You were?
Yeah, I loved playing
Theater?
characters and making people laugh.
Who'd you play?
I was the cleaning genie once, and I had a bright pink lambswool jumper that was stuffed with a double D bra, and the ridiculous lipstick and the blue eyeshadow and the curlers in your hair, and and you'd come out with your tickling stick. And you'd have to wait for people to just stop laughing at how ridiculous you looked so that you could deliver your line.
So just like I was saying, I look like Mr. Clean. Is Cleaning Genie a person that's popular over there, or is this a made up?
Yeah, no, it's just a made up character in Alibaba and the 40 Thieves.
Oh, okay. It was a character's name.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That makes way more sense. I did the lighting for Oklahoma, if that helps.
I could just see you as Doris Day. Doris Day with a beard.
I know when the wind comes swooping down the plains, what you do with the lights, I think. I don't remember any of it. It's such a vague memory that who the hell knows what I actually remember versus tell myself I remember. But I want to hear more about your failures because we've heard very little. So what was the first business that did not work out? And how'd you venture out into that?
So my first business was I was selling software for a pal, actually. And they were making so much money they decided to go into property, and they weren't asked about getting supplies in or running the company anymore, and just basically said, oh, we're going to close the company, thank you very much. So me and another lady that worked there went, oh, we can do this on our own. So we set up it was just mail order.
Did they not make the software themselves? No,
we just bought in and resold. We were just middle women.
Uh-huh.
And it was there's the fact that we were women and like hassling the computer reseller market, and just having fun. And we, back in the day when it was Fun Facts Friday, and we would just send, would hand draw a joke or a cartoon or something, and we would literally just fax that through to all of our best customers on a Friday.
One at a time, does that mean?
Yes.
That's the only way, right? Yeah.
There was no email or anything like that.
But no multifax either. You'd have to type in each number and let it go through.
Beep, 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 beep.
2 days ago, for the first time ever, I bought and played and utilized an 8-track player because I had one attached to my record player. I didn't realize it. And I bought an 8-track at the store. I now don't know what to do. Do they rewind? I should have just Googled this, but my point is, it says programs. It just stopped, and now I can't even get. I had music. I don't know if I'm like a VCR situation where I need to rewind it in the machine.
I don't know. My dad had an 8-track in his truck when I used to go with him when I was like school holidays.
Or do you ever flip it over? Do you know that much? Is there a flip over?
I just remember just pushing the cassette in, and then when it was finished, you take it out and you put another one in, and then you just start again.
Okay.
I honestly don't remember. But then, I'm old. So
I'm new to it. So I'm getting in late, but I've got a recording one. I've got a head cleaner one. There was 25 cents each. I got Sonny and Cher.
Yeah, you're asking the wrong person. I used to listen to War of the Worlds by Jeff Wayne. That was our thing.
You mean there was a rereading of it, not the Orson Welles thing when he did it on the radio?
No, it was a musical track, so it was narrated by Jeff Wayne.
War of the Worlds.
Oh, Nathaniel.
Thank you. I can't sing for the life of me, and I also made it up, obviously. But I didn't know there's a musical version of War of the
Yeah.
Worlds.
It's really big. You mean Tom Cruise did not make it big for you?
Tom Cruise. Well, it was not a musical version. I
No,
saw
it wasn't.
him sing no songs.
So some of the music I think was in the background. So
I remember there was the Orson Welles one where he freaked everybody out back
mhm.
in the whatevers, 30s, 40s, 50s. I have no idea. And then no idea what happened in between. A musical, apparently.
It must have been
I hate musicals too, honestly.
War of the Worlds. When was it? You can hear me typing now.
I'm going to say 1958.
1978.
Knew it. I was just a little bit off. There's one number off.
Oh no!
I should have thought whether or not you'd be around to see it. Obviously, I picked way too early, but I thought no one would do it that late. Who the hell's gonna make a musical about it in the 70s? But I guess that's when they were doing Age of Aquarius type stuff. Whatever. Is that
I
then?
mean, it was still all peace and love, man. You know.
Well, it was fading away though
Mm.
for the Miami Vice days or whatever.
See, the thing is, I remember like the old grey whistle test and stuff like that because
What's that mean?
the old grey whistle test was like Top of the Pops in the UK. It'd be, oh God, I'm trying to think what it'd be like for you over there. It's like MTV, you know.
Uh-huh.
But it
Just
would
like the most popular music.
music. Yeah, it was like the music show of the 60s.
It was like the Smothers Brothers kind of deal.
I don't know.
That was what we had, I think. Let's just randomly say old stuff from each other's country, and then people have to listen to us butcher each one and then yell at their
Yeah,
things going, no, you idiots. It was.
There's going to be some interesting backlinks in the show notes.
I'm going to put some Mr. Beast stuff in there. Just reference that we talked about him.
You know, it's you know, who knew that War of the Worlds was going to create so many impressions on it for you?
And did you reprise the Cleaning Genie for War of the Worlds musical? Did you ever? Because you did theater, but I didn't know you sang in War of the Worlds.
Oh, I'd only sing along in the cab and to my dad. I wouldn't necessarily, you know, do it now, but
I can do karaoke poorly. That's about it. I couldn't do.
I
no
did
one wanted to come see me on stage on purpose.
No, I dragged my husband up on karaoke in Cyprus one year when it was Handbags and Glad Rags by Stereophonics.
Handbags and Glad Rags.
It was just an abomination.
Isn't it nice when you know you're screwing it up and you're halfway through the song and you have half the song to go?
Yeah, and you're like, I'm just going to kick off my sandals and then at the end I'm going to jump in the pool.
Yeah. But sometimes you feel like you're crushing it if you're pretty drunk. You know?
You're on holiday. You got to let your hair down.
Hey. I permanently let my hair down.
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? I'm going to let it down for good. Lay it to rest.
That's a different meaning on the word bold or bald.
Yeah, baldly going. I didn't hear failure there. I heard them go, oh, we're done with software, and you just went, well, no failure there. I'm gonna pick this right up and run with it.
I think we're going completely off format. Well, no, the failure really was that my marriage broke down, and I decided that this guy was really, really exciting, and I was going to have a very successful life because he was a businessman, and you know, blah blah blah. So I literally walked away from a very successful business for love, and was home in like 4 months after.
Huh. Meaning love was over.
And it was like, well, all he wanted really was my contacts and my business.
That's all I want too.
I haven't really got much.
I'll still love you. I have no idea who your contacts are.
It's like, when you just go, I'd give anybody my last dime, right, to be
Uh-huh.
helpful. But
Of
then
course.
people just disappoint you. And that was a
Yeah.
big
And
disappointment.
it's rough when you leave because I know I've felt like, oh, I'm on the verge of success or whatever. So I'm sure he was like in a, hey, I'm gonna be next big thing. And then it was just a
Yeah, I mean,
nothing, a big dud.
I'd got my own home, my own car. I'd got plenty of money in the bank account. I'd got a great network of friends and my family. And I moved away. I literally moved 120 miles. It's not a lot in America, I know that, but over here,
It can be for sure.
it's still, it's not like you can just pop in and have a coffee
Hmm.
just to make yourself feel better. And it was really before mobile phones were really that good.
Of course.
So keeping in touch was hard work.
I just remember calling my friend's house and be like, "Hey, friend's mom, is John there?" And she'd be like, "No," and I'd be like, "All right, well, let him know when, and then maybe hopefully I'll be near the phone when he comes back because that's all it was." And then I did get a pager. My mom bought me a pager. That's about as early as I went.
We had phone boxes, and you'd go over to the phone box and you'd ring 3 rings and get them to ring you back at the phone box. But
Well, I would get the page, and then it would be 911, and then I'd maybe find a payphone. Those kind of faded a little faster than I thought, but payphones are cool. I think we should just keep them because they're cool. You do keep them, right?
well, we've turned them all into like little
Right?
bookshops here. You
Oh,
leave
or
you.
Superman changing rooms.
Oh yes, no. I'm not sure that Superman pops by very often.
I thought he favored those ones. I mean, he could fly around. I'm pretty sure it's within
Yes.
his possible. We could find him changing in one of those. I'm pretty sure, but maybe that's a Doctor Who like crossover or something. I have no idea. But what would all right? So we actually talk about some failures. What would you say is your biggest failure, mistake, whatever misstep? Was it that leaving the healthy life for the?
No, I came back and had to lick all my wounds and rebuild. And a
Mhm.
little later, I met my now husband. We've been together 20 odd years.
Every year was odd. It was just a strange
Well,
occasion.
I hadn't got much of a track record to stick in at anything. So to say
Oh,
today that, we've been together 20 odd years is kind
well,
of,
you're like 25, right? So
mm-hmm,
that's pretty
mm-hmm.
impressive since you're five. So that didn't make any sense to say. You
it's, it's,
hypothetically.
it's just, it's just odd. It's just odd that, um, life never kind of gives you what you set out for. And sometimes you just don't know what it is that you're setting out for either, right? So I decided that I was going to leave my corporate job and start another business for myself. And I bought a franchise because I wasn't brave enough to do it on my own after the last time it failed. And, I thought a bit of a security blanket.
You on a roadmap.
And I didn't want history repeating itself. And my husband emptied his savings and said, here's the money to go buy the business. And then that all
Nice.
went tits up.
Love it.
And it was just, like,
I love that he's still with you through that. It's because I know that's
yes.
is the case.
It was so stressful because, and it,
How much did you feel like an ass?
oh, big style, big style. It sort of caves in on you from all directions because you've failed yourself, you've failed your partner, the money is dried up. There are so many other people in the same position as you who have made the same bad choice. Yet you all thought
Yep. You probably were given advice against whatever you did.
there was no kind of alarm bells. That was I think what got all of us was
Mhm.
the rug was pulled so quickly, and it wasn't. everything that we thought it was going to ever be.
It wasn't my magician friend, because then you would have been still fine because everything doesn't move.
Yeah, the rabbit would have popped out the hat and would have been fine. But, it's like anything. I always say, where I am today is because of those things.
Mm-hmm.
Meeting somebody after the failed franchise who said, Wendy, I know that you're good at sales, come and help me. I met through the failed franchise. And then they turned around and went, why are you not just doing this for yourself?
That's what people say to me all the time, because I'm a financial planning tech guy and then my life's a financial wreck. I'm like, I don't like taking my work home with me. I'm an idiot.
Yeah, sometimes you just need to be told, don't you?
It's like, the right thing to do, but you're just like, I want to be mature because it's my choice.
Do I have permission? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's funner, more fun. Well, I'll say funner. It's funner to do whatever you want with your own money. But then after a while, you realize you just can't do that unless you make an obscene amount of money. So I got to figure out how to make an obscene amount of money so I can live the wacky lifestyle. So I figured best way to do that is world's number one failure. Clearly, that is a path that's just ready, primo money making opportunities. I'm actually just avoiding my main business by doing all of this stuff. So
I can actually say, hand on heart, I've had to curb my podcasting activity to 1 day a week.
Podcrastinating is what I think
Yes.
someone else called it, but I've said it more times probably than they have.
We all get drawn to what we enjoy doing most. And when it comes to, gossiping, I mean, this is what my husband says. I've been paid to gossip my whole career because that's what sales is. It's about having a conversation, telling stories and all of that, drawing people out.
I was so jealous. So just to be, because I don't think you know the story, I've been fired from every job I've had since graduating college, which is 6 for 6. And when I started the podcast, it was 5 for 6. So I got fired from one while I was on the podcast. But the one I got fired from on the podcast, I told him I want to move into sales because I'm an extroverted guy who's like only talking through numbers in a spreadsheet. I need to be doing what you're saying because it seems like it'd be much more fun to just be talking to people all the time.
Yeah.
Even if I suck at sales, I'd get better. But I mean, I'd still just be talking to people.
Look, you just don't know where a conversation will lead.
Exactly. If I say less words right now, who knows what you're going to say?
Ooh. I just think you should do it. Just do it, Ben.
Do what?
Do the sales.
Oh, yeah. But I have my own thing that I sell. I don't even like to sell that. My own product. I didn't even put an ad on my own podcast for it until like 30 something in. And now.
Well, you're your own sponsor, aren't you?
Yeah, but I didn't have an ad or didn't really talk about it. Now I only put the ad at the end because I'm like, why even put it at the beginning? The code has never been used that I give out on the show. So it's like, there's not a lot of overlap between like failure and people who want to learn Excel.
Well, you see, you can't call it a failure until you give up. And
I
you
meant
haven't given
the show
up.
is failure guy. So there's no the concept, the thought, the topic of failure. Whoever would listen to that podcast is not apparently seeking the Excel advice, or they're already amazing at Excel. I don't know what either one. Who the hell knows? Point is, also, I barely try to sell anything, so that's part of it too, because I don't like coming across salesy. I think, what would be your tip for people who struggle with that?
The number one tip is if you've got something that can help somebody, you just ask how you can help. It is as simple as that.
Yeah, the best way I've heard of it is instead of calling it sales, would be earning the right to make a recommendation. And then, because then you're just recommending something that they should do. You didn't like that one? Mm-hmm. Well, I'm sorry. It was Phil M. Jones. He's a great guy, and
I like Phil.
Said that. You do?
I've been trained by the same trainer as Phil.
I don't know anything. I just interviewed a guy who interviewed Phil on his podcast, so I basically interviewed Phil.
Oh no, next one.
It says it backwards, so I up exactly what to say. Yep, that's a good one. I
And
like the Audible only one that you can look at on Audible.
this is his mate.
They ask you answer. They're all backwards, so I have to like read
Yeah,
backwards.
that's Phil's mate. They've got a book coming out together.
In real life, are they backwards? Do you read backwards?
Yeah, and upside down.
Is mine backwards for you?
No.
Oh, perfect. Okay, cool.
Unless my brain has just flipped, it's that
Your
time of
brain's
day.
backwards, unfortunately. We're running out of some sort of time. Who the hell knows? I know I have more stuff to do today. No, that sounds bad.
I just want to know if you've had as much fun with any other guest.
Yes, for sure, definitely.
Damn.
But it's tied for fifth. I mean, like all of you are tied for fifth. There's no first. It's just the top 5 are not first. Tied. They're all tied for fifth.
We've been recording for nearly an hour, and it's only about 10 minutes of real content in here. Yeah.
Oh, but people are gonna love it because I had a lot of fun. I mean, but if you try to say where did I have the most fun, who the hell knows? I really don't even know. But we'll just say you, but that would be me just being nice about it. This is one of the few that I've talked the least about the subject matter of the podcast, which is a good sign that I'm distracted thoroughly.
Well, failing takes you to the successes, doesn't it? And I saw my pal earlier. I was walking the dog. I didn't have to pick up any crap. I've left that to the daughter.
So lucky.
But my pal said, "Oh, you're going back and doing the dinner now?" And I went, "No, I'm going to go and do an interview." And it was like, "Oh, are you getting another job?" I'm confused, and I went, "No, I'm going to go and talk about failures." And he looked at me a bit strange, and I went, "Well, I'm a bit of an expert on failing."
Yeah,
but I think it's one of those things that you've got to keep.
I have strict qualification. I got to make sure you're a real failure, in order to get on this show.
If you don't try something out, you're going to just have regrets.
The first thing you ever did in my world was a failure times 2. And I was laughing my ass off because it was so ironic and perfectly bad for what you're supposed to be doing.
I know.
But it's like when I have a podcast and I can't even record the stuff or whatever. Like right now, my thing isn't working, but I've had times when like I literally didn't have anything set up right. So I was just like, "Do you want to reschedule?" And who knows if they were like, "No."
I think the first time I had a failure on the podcast was Dr. Ivan Meisner. It said it was recording, and it did not record.
None of it?
No. The files were there, but there was absolutely nothing coming out. Well, I ended up interviewing him again. And I interviewed him straight away. I messaged him straight after going, "Oh my God," because I was saying to him, this is all fairly new to me, whilst talking is great and it's something that I've, built my career on. This is new. All of this is new skill sets. There's different.
You haven't even listened to podcasts.
No, I'd never even listened to any really. And I was like, and it was like, well, the one thing that was in front of me was press record. And I was like, and I'd gone through that with him, and it's saying recording to you. Yes. And I literally had like 15 minutes left in his, at the end of the time that we booked out. And I said, "Well, you can go and, enjoy the start of your day now." And off he went. And he'd given me his personal email address, and I had to email him going, "I really don't know how to tell you this, but it has not recorded." And, he came back and went, "Oh, that's no problem. That's don't feel bad. It happened to me once on Fox News."
Wow. Well, that's good because so just yesterday on LinkedIn, people were talking about, I forget what we were talking about, but in the comment thread, I mentioned, I even tagged her in. Her name's Jacqueline Wales. And so we were recording for an hour, but like 15 minutes in, the Zoom dropped out. And then I didn't remember to hit record again when we came back on for like another half hour. So I released it for like 19 minutes or something out of a whole hour, but I kept saying how bad I felt. And then thankfully I knew she wouldn't really care, but I got some closure that she didn't care at all.
cliffhanger, just an opportunity to do it again.
Maybe it's, but we did have a lot of good stuff that we missed, and I'm sure you did too, that you couldn't even rekindle some whatever little magical moments.
There is a magic, isn't there, when you're having a conversation, you're into it, that you can, really get into the feeling behind stuff. And that's
Absolutely.
what I love on, I ask all of my guests for a pivotal conversation. So
That changes their lives.
yes. So it's got to be a life changer for them personally or in business, and they are not to tell me. So I can do be my guest sessions. We can be chatting, and I'm like, do not tell me about that part until we record, because I want that to be authentic. I want it to be genuine. I want it to be, because there are, let's say there are presenters, there are podcast guests that go around doing lots of podcasts, talking about themselves and their books and whatever they're flogging.
That's why I don't listen to them. It's not that I'm
That's
lazy
the
and I don't do
same.
research, because I don't want to spoil it.
Yeah, that's the same for me though. I don't want to sit and listen through somebody's self-serving pitch.
Yeah. Plus, my listeners haven't heard them either. They don't know you, so I got to be like them, right?
I want it to be that we could meet up in the pub or the bar, and you strike up a conversation, and you're having a drink, and you go and you're having another.
Yeah. I'm like, no, I'm leaving. And I could leave the whole time. Holy shit. Is what
I'm driving. Yeah.
I thought there's no handcuffs. Is there anything? So, because we're running a little bit late, and I'm having a great time, but because I want to get to the couple of planned things, is there any final thoughts on the concept? People hate the word failure. People don't like. No matter what, I run into people who are just like, "This is stupid. You're stupid. Failure is a bad word. I hate the word." Is there anything you would say to the people who have a strong resistance towards failure? Because I'm not saying failure is great. I'm saying it's just a necessary part of the game.
Well, you don't get anywhere without it. You're born, and these are the things that you have to learn. There are things that you have to learn. So failure is part of that. If you can't accept failure, you'll never grow.
I love that. So being a guest on the show, you get the coveted, and I'm going to start making these for real, and I'm going to write the episode number and send it to people, but get out of fail free card. So take this through the internet.
Thank you.
Okay. Now this get out of fail free card, if you've ever played Monopoly, it doesn't matter because it really has nothing to do with it besides the name is pretty punny. Get out of fail free card. So you can, seems like you were pretty comfortable with your whole theater thing and all that acting job. What would you, if you had to, or if you were able to use this card to avoid the amount of failure that's in some other profession, hobby thing that you wish you could have done? Maybe it's the singing because you're terrible with the karaoke or whatever, but or maybe not. But or even if it's relationships, flying a plane, I don't care. I don't know. I've heard a lot of different things. What would you use a get out of fail free card for if you could? I'd do it for comedy because then but you need to bomb, but you know what I mean? I'd still want to avoid.
Good question. Let me see. Get out of it.
There's no rush at all.
I
want someone to use it on this question. Be like, I want to get out of this moment.
Get out of fail free. God.
If you couldn't fail, what would you do? Is there something that scares you? You're like, oh, I would want to do be an actress, like an actual actress or something. And you're like, oh, but it's so scary.
I have a secret desire to be a keynote speaker.
You've done a keynote speech at least once, I've heard.
Yeah, but only to little bitty, I want a, big conference, hundreds of people there, But written on my blackboard is a TEDx talk.
Hell yeah.
And I guess it's, what do you pick? I've had quite a colourful life. What would you pick to talk about?
I think, what is it, 18 minutes or less is what it is. I think something like that. Have you read the book by Chris Anderson?
No.
You have to. He started TED, and it's all about how to do a TED talk, and it's got amazing
There you go.
advice. So it's like how to. I forget what it's called, but it's something like how to do a TED talk or how to. I'm not even gonna try. Chris Anderson, take a look at it. It's just if you look up TED Talks.
It's like starting a podcast. Yeah.
Yeah. Instead of knowing nothing, you can know what the guy who started. I mean, because he's got great advice about like, things about like how much you should put on the slides and stuff, and how distracting or not you should be, whether you should go for funny or not, like all sorts of things, and uses examples from various TED Talks. But I've also wanted to. That's why I said that my thing was like my mini TED Talk, because I read that book and then tried to make that version of it, and I've since read it again. So I think you should definitely check it out. I'll send you a link to it or something if I remember.
Thank you, Ben.
AKA you won't get a link, but
well, if you don't ask, you don't get. It's always going to be a no,
it's
right?
true. Have you done Toastmasters?
No.
Start there.
It's one of those things that it's kind of like, as a mom.
Here we go. Okay, you're gonna high road us.
It's always like bedtime or after hours, or
there's like 7 a.m. ones or something. There's weird time ones.
Yeah, it's the getting them up ready for school and stuff like that.
Do you know what goes on at one of those things?
At 7 a.m. I dread to think.
At a Toastmasters meeting, regardless of the time.
I'll have to check it out. But there's Professional Speakers Association.
I'm saying I'll tell you what it is, but like, because you'll get up. Sometimes there's like little mini speech things. I mean, there will be, but usually there's either one person who's getting up and presenting, or multiple people, or yourself. But there's a person whose job it is to count how many times you say and ah. There's a person whose job it is to do certain, so that, like, they inform you of certain things, like whether you're running too long. So it's a lot of like really good, like hands-on training.
That's weird. That weirds me out. It's like role play in sales. I have clients that say, "Oh, can we do some role play, please?"
I hate that. I can't do it. Can you not do it?
I can't do it without laughing.
I can't pretend to have an interview. Like if it's going to be like if I'm pretending to interview for a job, I just can't do it. I've tried to do it with an ex, and I was like, I can't do this. Is stupid. I'll just do it in my head.
You know that it's not real, don't you? So
it's not even a good dry run.
As saying, "Oh, we're going to count how many ums." So all your concentrate. It's like saying, "Don't think about elephants."
No, but so they're going to be like, "Hey, tell a story about when something changes." And then there's just people doing these things. And at least if you're talking in front of 30 people, you are public speaking, So it's not like you're not doing that.
I suppose.
I'd recommend it. I got a little paper award for something. I don't know, a 2 truths and a lie thing that I told who knows what it was. But point is, I think at the very least you should check out that book, because not a lot of people think through. There's that quote. What is it like? If I had more time, it would have been a shorter letter. Who said that? Basically, brevity is more difficult to do well sometimes than a lengthy thing. So like the TED Talk, to jam pack a good amount of stuff into that little bit of time and to make it really interesting can be tough when you are used to either going long or shorter than that. So I also want to do TED. Well, let's have a race. Let's see who can get there first.
A bit of accountability. Okay.
Yeah, or just competition.
I'm up for that.
Okay. I bet I get to do a TEDx talk first.
Okay.
Well, that's going to be a fun competition with basically I already won. It seems that it got the whatever that satisfaction would have been, because it seems like it would have been very close to 0. So what did you use it for? Did you even use your card yet? Is it a TED Talk?
I think it'd be the TED Talk. So, if the card works.
Public speaking, to be a real keynote speaker, you said it was a secret.
So
the hot gossip, everybody, is that we've got a previous keynote speaker who wants to be a keynote speaker. You've heard it here first. And she's going to keep doing it. She's going to keynote higher, which it's funny because I was asking somebody who is a keynote speaker. His name's Pellegrino. He's one of my recent guests, or at least released wise. And he was saying it's funny because all they do is keep trying to get you to say he was doing like a 2 hour, 3 hour presentation. Like, can you do it shorter? Can you do it shorter? Like, he keeps having to do it shorter. And it's like, while it is difficult, it's less time that you have to do work for, which is, a nice side benefit. So I guess this could be the same answer, but instead of fake it till you make it, I say fail it till you nail it. So what's the next thing you're gonna fail at until you become better at it? Are you doing new business ventures that you're uncertain of, or podcast thingamabobs?
There's a 12-step program that I keep trying to sort of talk about that I haven't really launched properly. You know, it kind of keeps sticking in my claw as, oh, really?
You're a teacher or you're a participant?
I'm a teacher, yeah. And
okay, because I've been in a few different one of those, but as a participant, so I'm not sure what you're alluding to specifically, but
a lot of,
I don't know if we're being anonymous on purpose.
no, a lot of what, I mean, it's weird really, because I can do an awful lot of telephone training and we don't pick up the phone once.
Oh, that's what I did with my Excel, like my TED talk about Excel. I didn't show any Excel. It was like GPS roadmaps of Denver and Boston stuff, because I wanted to not lose people to the sleep.
No, that's it. It's
the
like,
deep sleep.
So I'm just gonna keep pedaling in my lane.
Mm-hmm. Are you gonna write a book ever?
I've got a book.
Wow. See, it's like I conjured that up. I manifested that.
You manifested that, and
it's backwards. So you're gonna have to tell me what it says. I don't even know what it says.
There's no surprise. It's called Making Conversations Count.
Oh, wow! Originality is one of your strong suits.
Brand. It's on brand.
So I was gonna say, where can people find you? I imagine it is makingconversationscount.com.
Makingconversationscount.com is the podcast, and wagassociates.com is the,
I saw that,
telephone training that I do. But you'll find me hanging out on LinkedIn. That's the best place. If you go on TikTok, I really don't know what I'm doing, so I'd rather you look at LinkedIn.
But that's awesome. Thank you for joining the show. I appreciate you sharing some of the not so great times, because it's not always as easy. Some people avoid it like the plague and don't even want to admit that they messed up. So I appreciate you coming on and talking about it.
My scars are what makes me beautiful.
There it is. That's the title. So I appreciate everything you said. So that was Scar from Lion King, right? I'm not even gonna try to write down what it was. I'll hear it in the recording. So, anyways, it's been a pleasure, and I can't wait for the world to hear it in who the hell knows how long, a couple months, I'm gonna say, but you never know. Sometimes they bump people up to the front because of, I'm like, oh, I've had a weird smattering of non-salespeople or whatever. Who knows?
Yeah, sometimes one guest flows into the next quite naturally, and that's how I do things too.
Yeah. Cool. Who's your husband? Is he interviewable or is he just worthless? Make sure to start the podcast with that part right there. Okay. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Ben.